What's up? It's Monday.
It is Monday. How we feel about that?
I feel like I'm ready for it to be Friday.
Are you wishing the week away?
Yes.
That's not good.
It's not.
You're not supposed to wish your days away.
Oh, well,
I get the
You're right.
urge, but
I didn't accidentally casted a spell. Whoops. I need to revoke that later.
So how was y'all's Mondays?
Mine was. Well, we gotta talk about our weekend first, but we'll start with Monday. Monday was. It was smooth. That's the best way to describe it. It was smooth. No stress. It was smooth. Wish I had got up a little earlier, but that's neither here nor there. What about you guys?
My Monday's been cool. Like I was a little sick earlier, but other than that, I just chilled and caught up on some rest. How about yours?
My Monday was good. It was actually quite good. I mean, nothing spectacular happened, but I made it through. My mood stayed pretty even. It didn't go down too low. It didn't go up too high, and so that's all you can really
Yes.
hope and pray for. So you said we gotta talk about the weekend.
No, we have to talk about the weekend.
Okay.
Hey, Jamie. So, weekend. How was the weekend?
I was in my apartment all weekend sewing a dress.
So being productive.
I was being production. In your words,
Yes.
I was being production. And I finished that dress and shipped it out right before I came here. So thank
Yes.
you.
Well, that's good. We give you some snaps for that. I know that feeling. So productive for you, Tyrone. How was it for you?
Mine was pretty lax. I kind of just hung out all weekend, with the exception of Saturday morning. We attended Age 101, which was a cool little program full of workshops. They kind of informed you about like different aspects of HIV and AIDS and like educational stuff and like support type of stuff. It was really cool. So that was Saturday, but for the rest of the weekend, I was just chilling.
That was my exact response to them today when Miss Lorene came over and asked me how it was. I was like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. So it was okay. I thought I was gonna be sitting there all morning just hearing a bunch of information we already heard, but the breakout sessions really helped. And so yeah, that was cool. My weekend was, I didn't get out of here at all Sunday, but Saturday we hung out for a little while, and then I don't remember what I did Friday. I think Friday I was here all day too, but I got some work done, so I was productive. I have a clean house. You know, God is good.
Yes, clean house.
I would say that I didn't get to go see my baby this weekend, my little one, but you know, it's all good. It's all good. Finally
It's
watched
all
the end of
good.
Love Jones, so it's all good.
I need to go back and finish it because I realized I had never seen it before.
Me neither.
I've never seen
I didn't know I
No,
didn't
it's
see
so
it. I've
good.
never seen it. I really thought I had seen that before, but I think I was mixing it up with something else.
I
Then
know
the
I
rest
was
takes
mixing it up with
the same.
something else. I can't remember what it was, but it was a love story. But I think the people, I couldn't tell you who they were. But I just remember two black people falling in love, and I thought it was Love Jones, but that was not the movie. Because
Was it
if I
Brown
went
Sugar?
back and watched, I think it was.
Yeah.
Wait, who is in Brown Sugar? Tate
Sanaa
Lee?
Lathan.
Because I don't think I really liked that movie that much. Because that took place in New York. I think so. This was about, I think that same light-skinned boy was in it, though. No!
Light skin.
We're gonna hold y'all whole time up, but now it's gonna kill me if I don't think. So it was a dude that was out at the time, but this was in the 90s. I couldn't tell you, but he's light skinned. I haven't seen him in forever though. He played in this love story with, I don't even know who the leading lady was, but it was so good. And I just remember them having this beautiful, they made love in the park, if that helps. I remember them having a really long love scene in the park, but I cannot remember what that movie was called. We'll think about it. It'll come to us, and then we'll all have to watch it.
I'm not sure.
But so I had never
Or-
seen Love Jones, but when I know when
Yeah,
it
me
came out
either.
on the Netflix list, it was something that I wanted to watch. I attempted to watch it all week when it came out and never got. I would always fall asleep.
What's the draw you think to Love Jones? Because it's a movie that when you think about classic black love story or classic black movies from late 90s, whatever, that people just like talk about, they bring up, it resonates. What about it?
Well, I love stories, period.
I hate
So
'em.
that's why I wanted to watch it.
Okay.
But I was really
love
like, I
love
feel like I need to
stories.
finish this for the culture, but me, myself, I like to think that I don't need to see it.
It's created
Because
for
it
a special
wasn't-
purpose.
I hate romances.
I love them.
Hate them.
I love seeing how it play out.
Why do you hate romance?
I don't know. The genre just doesn't
Do you hate romance in real life?
interest me. I hate how people go about it in real life.
Okay.
Now, at least,
Okay.
like everything's so like orchestrated, as opposed to like filling each other out and like getting to really genuinely know each other. Like everybody's trying to plan stuff and I'm gonna do this, we gonna be this, and da da da. Like just let us be,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I like the idea of romance. I don't like how it's being practiced. I think.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So how does that bleed over into your disdain for the genre,
genre?
of romance?
Ooh.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of them are the same movie over and over again.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of them are the same movie over and over again, and
Which is true.
I don't know. Just love stories. Just
What kind of movies do you like?
action, comedy, drama, suspense.
So are those not the same movie over and over again?
Some of them definitely are.
Okay.
Some of them definitely are.
Look at the what do you say? The interviewee being interviewing the interviewer.
If y'all want me to talk, this just how this gonna have to go.
No, but this is fun. So let me just go ahead and warn you before I introduce you. Hey, excuse me, Keith. Oh my God. So the people that tune in on here, they on another level. So anyway, yeah. One of the comments was, "Damn, them jeans is fitting on him like a glove tonight." And I just said, "Who should I have?" But no, I'm not standing up. So we gonna move right along. But anyway, so entrepreneurship. We need to talk about what happened last time, and then we'll go right into this one. But entrepreneurship is the series that we're still on now. So this is the second installment. I'm excited about it. Hope all these viewers that we have right now stay on, because it's gonna be a great. It'll be more engaging than last time. How
Can
about
you
that?
tell them what you want them to get from this series?
So, in my mind, people would watch this, specifically our following of gay black men. They would see this and see, different entrepreneurs, how they got started, what were some of the pitfalls, the successes of being an entrepreneur, and just, I don't know how they stayed in there, because it's a hard thing to do and to maintain as well, especially with no direction. Then as young black people, well, not even just young, but black people in general have such a hard time with healthcare and finding jobs to support their families, and then to add another layer like entrepreneurship on top of that. Like, how do you even, I'm just trying to figure out, how are you even making it? Like, how does this work?
Right.
Specifically from people with different lengths of career. So, we'll get into it anyway. So, I'm excited for this one because this is Derek DeAndre, for those who don't know. Somebody who I had the pleasure of working with for quite some time. We'll get into that. But he's here now in Atlanta, and so, hey, it's a great time for people in Atlanta to get to know you, and probably you get to know some of them because they have a lot to say. And it's going to be fun, and it won't be boring, like someone said last time. But I do realize this is different because we don't have that many guests on. It's normally us talking about how we feel. So we'll do the series with opinions. How about that? So anyway, Derek DeAndre, ladies and gentlemen. So we have our the Breakfast Club claps going off right there. So Derek, tell us, who is Derek DeAndre? Where you from?
Derek DeAndre is a 28, soon to be 29-year-old creative from Birmingham, Alabama.
Woo woo.
I went to undergrad in Kentucky and came back home to Birmingham and started working at the Alabama Power first, and then the University of Alabama All the while I was working with Daniel on Splash by DKG as well as Magic City Fashion Week, and I recently moved to Atlanta to pursue design full time because I went to school for graphic design. So I have a full-time job as a graphic designer, but I also have a collection, a label called Love and Osker that I am currently building.
Okay. Well, how did all this come about? Did you know right out the gate, oh, I'm gonna be a designer, I'm gonna be, oh, I guess what all do you do, too?
What do you mean?
But how did that, like, so what all do you do? Tell people clearly what you do. So you design.
Yes.
And what else? Graphic design.
Fashion design, graphic design, photography are the three main things that I would say I do professionally.
Okay, and so how did you get started on this whole journey?
Well, I have always been a creative person, but I was also like the smart kid in school too. So that in my younger years and like throughout school kind of directed me away from creative arts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I've always just had an inner creativity to myself, but it wasn't until I went to college that I actually started to really express it. I started doing a fashion show at my school, Berea, and I styled the first 2 years, and from styling, I developed like the urge to actually create the stuff. So my third year, I went home that summer and taught myself how to sew on YouTube and presented a full collection the following, like, so I taught myself to sew in between May and July, and I presented a full collection in December. Which I'm always very proud of that because that was a very short time, and if you see the pictures of the stuff, like, I don't look back at it and am embarrassed by it to this day. Like, it's still solid designs. I mean, the stuff looked terrible on the inside, but it looked great on the outside. Like,
and that's all that matters.
Yeah, well,
up
to a certain point, that's all that matters. But yeah, I forget what the original question was, but I think we can move on.
Sure. So, I don't know. What is some of your interests? Like, what kind of clothes do you make? What type of photography do you do?
Yeah, can you like break down each of those? Like, what is it Love and Osker?
Love and Osker.
Like, what is that? What inspires those designs? Where does that come from?
So what's inspired Love and Osker has changed over time. Originally, it was literally just the desire to make clothes. I had no purpose. I just knew that there was something about fashion that I really enjoyed. And I did it. You know, I always have liked to work with my hands, and so making clothes, I've always had a very I've always really liked puzzles, and so I look at clothes as like putting a puzzle together. So I think it was just the process of figuring out how to make clothes was what intrigued me initially, and I just called it Love and Osker because that's what I want to name my children. And I said if I never get the chance to have children, then this will be like the baby that I never get to have. But currently, what is inspiring Love and Osker is a sense of wanting to bring back wardrobe to our generation. Like, I don't feel like we build wardrobes these days. We buy cheap stuff from fast fashion companies, and you know, we buy it and we wear it one time and we're over it, or we wear it one time and it's stretched out of place, or you know, we can't wear it next year because it's no longer in season, or you know, people on Instagram aren't wearing it anymore.
That's
so
what I was going to say. It's all for photos.
Yeah, it's for photos, and so I really want to bring back a sense of, like, if you purchase something from me, it's something that you can then hand down to your descendants. Like, this is a special dress that I purchased for this occasion or whatever, or, you know, I want people to be able to tell stories about the garment that I make. You know, oh, my mother would wear this dress every special occasion, or she would wear this dress all the time, and I really loved how, you know.
So, do you think people are getting that respect back Well, this is like an opinion-based question, but do you think people are getting that respect back for like the concept of a wardrobe now luxury fashion has kind of become like everyday fashion? Like, if you don't have on a luxury shirt, the people are like, "Oh, what is that?"
Mm-hmm.
You know. So they're leaning more towards like quality clothes, or do you think that's just like trendy in itself?
I don't necessarily think that there's a huge importance being placed on quality clothes. Like brands and names, and just because it's expensive doesn't mean that it's quality. I feel like there's an emphasis on having people know your status based off of what you have on. You know, like, and that's not what I want to base my clothing off of. I don't want it to be, you know, something that people. I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but I just want people to have the feeling from my clothes versus like needing it to show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's what the focus is a lot these days. So that's what I'm really targeting in like realigning my business goals. It really is on style over trend, teaching people how to take the same garment and wear it a million different ways, you know, and really destigmatizing rewearing your clothes. Like, people wear stuff one time and they over it.
Oh, I took a picture of that.
Yeah, like if Instagram saw it, it's dead now, and I'm like, no, that it shouldn't be like that. Like this jacket that I wore over here is a jacket that Daniel actually painted for me, and as bold and as loud as that jacket is, I wear it like over and over and over again, and every single time I get compliments from people. So like, why can't we? I feel like we should invest our time and our money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Stuff is coming back. That's quality. But so I just wonder what's the plan to make that happen in such a world of Instagram? I don't see Instagram going nowhere right now. In Snapchat, like, what's the plan to have longevity? And this is when you were saying that, I'm thinking, okay, a nice wool coat, a pair of Brooks Brothers shoes. That's stuff that you can pass down because it's not going to lose its value. Of course, a Louis Vuitton bag, stuff like that. How do you plan on being in that space, or even getting in that space?
Really and truly, the way that I'm designing now is not the way that I was designing a few years ago. Like, I honestly used to look at Instagram for inspiration when I was designing, and I've purposely taken myself off of it, not off the platform completely, but just when I'm thinking about designing something, I take myself off of that, and I have a tendency sometimes to overcomplicate what I design.
Lord, don't we all?
And so I've taken myself off of like the inspiration of like Instagram, which is very trendy, and I've simplified my design, and I'm really focusing on building, like you said, that wool coat, that like those pieces that you can really style in multiple ways. I'm also restructuring how I put out a collection. You know, in the past I put out a collection or collections of, you know, 12, 15, 20 different looks, and, you know, it may be one of them that like really hits, or, you know, I may design up to 10 looks or 8 looks, and after that the rest of them I'm kind of just pushing out because I feel like I need to have this huge number. But I'm focusing on producing smaller collections that are comprised of pieces that just really mean something and can like stand the test of time in somebody's closet.
Well, in that case, they will be telling the story.
Yeah.
When I paid $5,000 for this little Osker coat, but then 3 generations have worn it, so it's more than exceeded its value. So I guess we can stop and say, hey, Monica, she wants to know, do you make plus size things? And before you answer that, I would like to know how many times you get asked that. Does it irritate you or not? And then you can answer the question.
So I get asked that a lot. Anytime somebody finds out that I'm a designer or I make clothes, that's like their first thing. Oh, does it come in my size, or do you design for plus size or whatever? And my answer is yes. I design for really anybody who wants to be designed for. The first person who I designed anything for was my mother, who she's always been a very curvy woman. Like, she's probably on the smaller end of plus size, but she's still not, like, she has a shape. So that was my initial inspiration. And, you know, to this day, I think that I make certain stuff the way I make it because of her, because I've always loved her shape. And so a lot of the stuff that I make is very, you know, fitting to the figure. But anybody who wants to be designed for, I will design for them.
So I guess that answers her next question. Do you design based off a person's body? And basically, that, for those that don't know, that's what custom is. It's like customizing to your exact body type, so it fits your every little nook and cranny.
Yeah. I do custom, of course. Like I said at the beginning, I just shipped off a custom dress to Ohio before I came here. But I'm really wanting to focus on custom, yes, but customizing the collection that I put out to fit the individual customer. So honing in on who my customer is, and them seeing the collection and saying, okay, I want that dress, but I want it to fit me. And so I want to take what I've designed and make it fit them. You know, I think that's when I say get people back to building a wardrobe. You know, people see a show, a runway, or, you know, a magazine or something on TV, and they like, oh, that's on that skinny girl, I can't wear it, or that's on them, I can't wear it. But
hey, representation matters.
It absolutely does. But I also want people to see stuff and be like, okay, I like that. I want to make the investment for it to fit me. Like, especially when you have the opportunity to approach, you know, smaller brands like myself, and say, hey, I really love that dress. Can you make it to fit me? I just want people to build the knowledge of like what it means to get your clothes actually fitted to you and tailored, and, you know, like make it look good on you. Like, even if you buy off the rack, like if you buy a blazer off the rack, go get it tailored. Still, like like the little things will make stuff look like that luxury stuff that you see on Instagram.
And that's a nice, I do have more questions, but that's a nice segue into talking about Fridays when we went to Out of the Closet.
Oh, yeah.
I found so many amazing pieces that's like very quality items. And I'm not going to get up, but I got a suit. I got this really nice blazer that, thank God, it was too small, too big for you, because you actually saw it first, but I can't wait to wear it. But so many custom pieces from the thrift store, and that was the exact thing. These are things that you can go and get tailored. Because that blue suit, I've never seen a suit that color. I wish I could show it to y'all, but one day. But it's like this really beautiful light blue suit. And all I gotta do is go get that thing tailored, and it's on. Found a nice pair of, I can't remember the designer's name now, but some very expensive loafers to go with it. We found all kind of stuff.
Yes.
I know you got a pair of Brook Brothers shoes that I wish was in my size.
I'm so excited. I didn't have to spend that money on some real ones.
But I got 3 pair of brand new, well, not brand new, but gently used dress shoes for the low. Then we got a discount.
Okay.
But yeah, so thrift. So do you tailor things? Because I don't even want to answer this for myself. But if somebody bought a suit and said, "Can you tailor this for me?" Would you do it?
I'm not a tailor. I mean, that doesn't mean that I couldn't do it, but I've learned to let people do what they are actually an expert in, and I'm not an expert tailor. It's difficult for me to take somebody else's work and try to do something to it, unless it's a simple hem or something. But
You're not a tailor.
I can tailor my own clothes because I made them and I know how they work and all of that. But I would not advertise myself as a tailor.
So I guess explain what a designer is, because I know when I'm places, people immediately start talking about stylists. But that's not the same thing, or they'll be called the same thing. But I do feel like a stylist has to have designer tendencies and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
But that don't mean you're a full-on stylist because you know how to, style a couple things.
Yeah. I think a designer is a visionary for what the collection is actually going to look like, what the clothing is actually going to look like, and how it's going to come together. The designer is not necessarily the person who makes it, but they are like the person who envisions it and figures out how to make it come to life, and then somebody else makes it, like actually structures it.
Exactly. Because I just don't feel like half of the people who say these terms know what they really talking about or asking for. Because even sometimes I have people, oh, what does this blazer look like? What size I need to get? I said, this is more stylist type things. And if you ask me to design you something, that's totally different.
Yeah. Right.
So I'm about to be ringing you up for a stylist consultation because that's what you are asking me for.
Yeah.
Right.
But so then I have to take the time to kind of educate about that.
Yeah.
Because people just don't know. So I always want to hear other people's opinions because a designer, a tailor, a seamstress, those are all very different things.
Yeah. And I want all of them on my team at some point.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
That's just like asking the person who is the cashier how they marketing the brand. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just ringing it up. I'm not marketing this thing. That's a whole different, genre of thing. Anywho, growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, becoming a designer, what did that look like? What kind of challenges did you face with that type of thing going on?
I mean, the challenge that I faced in Birmingham is very similar to, I think, the challenge that you face in the South in general. Just people don't value or don't know how to value creativity or a creative career specifically.
They don't know how to.
Yeah, they don't know how to because literally growing up, the focus was go to school, get good grades, go to college, and work at Alabama Power, Regions, AT&T, like the big companies that are based in Birmingham or have large offices in Birmingham. And if you get one of those jobs, you better not quit because you have made it. And that's just not really ever who I've been. I had a corporate internship in high school through college, and I actually got offered a job at that company. It's a Fortune 500 company, and I turned it down. At how was I, 23, 22? I turned the job down, and I didn't know necessarily why. I couldn't explain it then how I can explain it now, but it just wasn't in my spirit to go home and working in that type of environment. So being creative or having this creative urge in Birmingham is difficult if you are looking outside of yourself for validation. So if you're looking for people to care about what you're doing, really support what you're doing, or get what you're doing, then that's when it feels like it's very hard. You feel like nobody around you understands. You feel like, you almost resent the people around you a little bit because you just like, y'all, we on different wavelengths, So, but like moving here didn't necessarily change that. This is just a bigger, I always say this is just big Birmingham,
And it does feel that way.
It's just a bigger version of Birmingham. Atlanta, for as many advances as it has, is still pretty country.
As you was talking, I'm sorry, but all I was thinking was, why the hell did I move to New York? I still want to know the answer to that question. If it had not been for my child, I'm just like, because moving here is better, but it's still not that environment that I saw myself in.
I think
in the fashion whole thing.
You said, we was talking the other day, and you said it's just not drastically different from where we're from. And I think that's the thing, because even somebody from New York coming to Atlanta, it will be drastically different than what they're used to. So they may be inspired to do way more than they would have done up in New York. So I think it was just, for me, Atlanta was my first step out of the door. It was easy to transition. Well, I ain't gonna say easy, but it was, a little bit easier to just hop on over the state line than go way, way north or whatever.
Well, I have my kid that I didn't want to get too far away from, but as far as this feels at times with different things that I have going on or circumstances, I might as well head and move to California, to be honest with you. But being here, it makes me feel like if I was in the film industry or I don't know, whatever else, then yeah. But I always get encouraged because like the other day, I can't say this out in the thing, but I'm not gonna say a name, but one of the stylists who I was told to meet here, that they work off both coasts here in LA, I met their assistant. And so I was like, I tested the person and we got to exchange contacts and stuff. And I was like, that's crazy because the person had just told me to look you up because they know that I want to dress more men. And when I tell you this person got the men on lock, they got them on lock. But, I was just like, wow, this is cool, I guess. But I don't know. When you think about an internship with a major fashion brand or something that I really, really need right now, that's not really here. So then that's why I always be like, But anyway, I'm going to find my fashion community in Atlanta. It's coming. I'm building it, but it's coming.
Are there any questions? What are they saying?
The last question we got is a designer, a creator, and a stylist puts things together. Well, some stylists put your whole vibe together too. Because I know Moschino, they have a stylist that does that. But a stylist to me just kind of makes sure the story you're trying to tell is told. Yeah. They assist with accessories and aligning shoes and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. They can also help you pair stuff together really well, especially if you're a crazy person like me. But like you said, the designer is the one who says this is the collection, this is what the coat will look like, the top, the pant for, say, SS19, spring summer 19.
Yeah. I mean, you can almost think of it like an assembly line, like the designer has to come before the stylist. Sometimes stylists design, and they partner with designers so that they can bring a vision that they have to life. But in general terms, it's like, designer, stylist, I don't know what will be next, but runway, I don't know. But
going with a show producer or something like that.
But yeah. Stylists work with things that already exist.
Yeah.
And designers help things to exist.
Right.
So, I'm sorry, was you? Because I had a question.
Go ahead, because mine is not about what you about to say. I know it.
So what was it like for y'all two, both designers, coming up together and kind of having that like affirmation or relationship with somebody who was trying to do the same thing that you were, that is also a black gay man? Like, did that mean something to you?
For me, it was very, it was what I needed at the time. And I say this, we worked together for 4 years under his label, Splash by DKG. He had founded that before we started working together. And so when I first started working with him, a lot of people who knew me and knew what I had done before were looking kind of like, well, why are you working under somebody else's name? Or, why, that it just seemed weird to them, the concept of me not designing and having the glory come to my name or whatever the perception was. But I always say, when I first met him, I wasn't designing nothing. Like, I had put it down. Yeah. I had said, I just need to get a practical job, which I did, and just survive, which I was. And, I feel like God brought design back into my life by way of Splash by DKG. And I did some stuff with that brand that I would not have done on my own. Like, we did so many shows, like the worst shows and the best shows.
Don't you do that.
We did them all.
It was experience.
It was so much experience. But if it had been left up to me on my own, 3/4 of them shows I wouldn't have done. But I also wouldn't have got that experience. So for me, working with him was what I needed at the time.
And of course my answer is the same. And there was a lot of things that had to kind of, I don't know, come together. I feel like he was great for that and letting me see a lot of possibilities that I didn't, because this didn't start, for me it wasn't, oh, here's my business plan. I want to be a fashion designer. I thought if anything, I would become a stylist because that's what everybody would always compliment me on was my own personal style. And I did like to find things for other people and all that kind of stuff, but I never thought designer. Me knowing I don't even like to sew. I didn't even know how to sew. All I knew how to do was do the textiles, and even that was new for me because that just kind of happened by night. So having somebody like him that came along, I think we balanced in like a yin-yang type of thing. And we learned a lot from each other. And as far as the other part of your question, it was good to have somebody who understood, who you could kind of go through a lot of that with. I think I sometimes wonder had I went through all this on my own, well, the trajectory wouldn't have been the same either, but a lot of it maybe I wouldn't have continued with. Like, I know the first time somebody probably asked me to make something by hand, that would have been the end of that. And I'd have been like, that's not what I do, and I ain't trying it. But because he knew how to do that, it took me down a whole different lane that I never saw myself going down. And now that I'm in this myself, and I was telling you a lot about how my yesterday went earlier and stuff, that wouldn't have happened. Me having to make something on my own. I even thought about how yesterday I had a feeling with somebody, and I basically made the thing while they were here. Like, that's game changing for me. Making that outfit for Selena, getting it to her in time enough for her to, breathe, have her glass of wine or whatever she did, then go on stage with ease. All that stuff is new to me. That was always him. I'm the one.
She was up there bouncing around.
Right.
Too.
She believed in that outfit. And I was like, yeah. If that button, I was just thinking if that button go, but I did my due diligence. So if it still would have went, I did the best I could. But at the same time, all of this stuff that I'm going into now, I wouldn't have been as confident to do it. Mm-hmm. Is a whole nutshell what I'm saying. And it's given me a lot of confidence, but I definitely needed somebody there to be like, okay, we can make it through this. Because I'm wondering, like, I'm down for the show, then when it come up and I see it's a food, I'm kind of like, okay. But me, I'm going to go through with it. I didn't put my name on the line, and, it is what it is.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask that because I know for me, I didn't find really that until I moved here, for real. And so coming from spaces that were small or that were very large and everybody was just spread out, and the gay people weren't as easy to spot. So when I was doing my thing, I was just kind of always, like, it made me feel very alone growing up until I saw more of it, like, actually for myself in the world. So I think that's awesome that y'all were able to do that together.
And I do too. And I think that's kind of, crappy that a lot of people don't have their community because around you, even if it's one other person, because that makes a hell of a difference. When you can genuinely come to the table with people who do something very similar to you and y'all ain't got all that hate and all that stuff anyway, you can kind of just really put the cards out on the table. Because I'm thinking about Fashion Week. One of the designers in particular, Kenya, it's a lot of stuff we can tell each other, and I know she gonna just give me her honest feedback and vice versa, and then we have that as well. And so, because I've been in a lot of spaces where you can't tell them nothing, like they're gonna have that produced tonight, if you let it out. Or it's just a lot of negativity being thrown your way. Oh, you can't really do that. You think you can do that. It really, 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 really helps you to have somebody in your corner who you can just talk about it openly with and candidly and just, be open. And have them lean on too, because it's just been a lot of ups and downs that come with entrepreneurship, staying motivated, being willing to keep going, putting your money in there when a lot of times we design stuff that we had to pay to fix. Imagine, I do textile with bleach. Right. So imagine how many things I had to kind of, pay for with my own money to fix. But I learned a lot because we each had to do a lot, and it was really fast. So so I would encourage you to definitely find your community and some good ones, some tried and true ones for real. And one thing I do like though is that us, though a lot of us work together, we built like a community amongst us to where we can kind of encourage each other and stuff. I know I don't sing or whatever, but hell, I can always tell somebody else better than I can tell myself. Mm-hmm. And you are able to do that. So, thank you. We have grown. I have seen grow. Mm-hmm. So, we're gonna pause for a second and talk about this hair.
Yeah.
Yours. Timothy Webb is on the
What?
line acting a fool. Talking about come on hair, yes hair. He done been saying all kind of crazy stuff, but
Thank you,
I
Tim.
about fell out when he said that because I meant to say it when we were talking about the weekend. Remember, I went blank for a second. I was like, damn, I forgot. But that's what it was. We was gonna say, and you got the hair done over the weekend.
Period. Yes.
But hey, Tim,
Have you snatched
we look
that?
forward to seeing you back in Atlanta tomorrow, hopefully. So anyway,
I'm not getting the comments. Okay, now it's coming through. Thank you, love. Thank
how important is mentorship
Mentorship is extremely important, and I wish
or to you?
I wish I had more, and still wish I had more fashion related mentors, like people who actually have successful businesses or careers within this industry who I could ask questions. But I haven't met those people as of yet, or I haven't met a lot of those people or connected with them as of yet. So mentorship is just that person who you know you can trust, and you trust the work that they put out or the aura that they put out. Like there's just something about them that you trust, and like they actually know what they're talking about, whereas you don't. They know more about something that you want to know about.
They've probably been there, experienced.
Yeah.
As far as, let's see, how do I ask what I'm asking? I don't know. It's like I know what I'm trying to ask, but I don't know how to word it, and it's weird. And now y'all looking at me and don't laugh.
Yes, and yes.
But hey, everybody that's tuned in, we've gotten quite the viewers. Hey, Kasia, she's one of our design friends.
Hey, hi everybody. Hi Keith. Hi Moniz. We will talk about that. But yes, hey y'all.
So as far as if somebody asked you about entrepreneurship, the good, the bad, the ugly, what's your truth about that? Growing up as who you were in the South in entrepreneurship at this point, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
How does somebody even get prepared for that? Because I don't feel like people. I feel like this is something that's out there in the world. Oh, be an entrepreneur. Be an entrepreneur. Specifically, if you're a minority or a marginalized community or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Be an entrepreneur. But the shit is so hard and it's so expensive. How can you do that when you work in a? Maybe that's what I should be asking. How do you even maintain with just like a median salary, and then talk about being an entrepreneur? I was reading earlier that they say that a large percent of people don't even make $12,000 a year. Like they're not like, what the hell can you do with that?
Right. Nothing.
That's a lot of people spend that on food, and not even a year. That's probably like 6 months.
I know I do.
And to think people don't even bring that in. You want them to be an entrepreneur? How they gonna start? How they gonna pay for it? How they gonna maintain it? And then we have a community of people out now that's like so fraudulent. Like we putting up other people's products saying it's ours and this is what I can sell you and send you, and they send you some stuff and it look like you got it from I don't know, Hong Kong somewhere. It's nothing near what you ordered. The material is like much thinner, all of that. How are you able to maintain so you've been doing this since 2011. How have you been able to maintain a business that far, that long? And then do 3 different things at that.
Because I really wanted it to happen and still want for it to happen. I think right now there's like a new wave of entrepreneurship where it's popular to be an entrepreneur, and people are looking to entrepreneurship as a form of escape. Like they're trying to escape their current circumstances, that job they hate, that family that's boring them, that they ain't connected to, whatever they using it as an escape versus or fame versus what it really should be about, which is solving a problem, because that's at the end of the day what a business is. It solves a problem. And what's happening a lot, because it happened to me because I didn't put stuff on Facebook to start a business. I put my clothes up because I liked them. I thought they was cute. I took pictures and hey, everybody liked this. But then what's happening is people put their interests and their passions out there, and the world tells them, oh, that's a business, so you need to go do that. Like, or I want to order something from you. How, do you take orders or whatever? And it's almost like you put it out there kind of seeking validation, and if you're not careful, it can send you down a path that you may or may not be ready for. Like, I think everything that you like or everything that you do is not necessarily a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you bake cakes, okay, great, but that don't mean that you are a business person or even really want to be an entrepreneur. Like, people, I think, are just getting confused and a little bit jumping the curve on whether or not they actually want to be an entrepreneur.
I think the people is just really desperate to not go to work.
Yeah, that too.
But see, the thing
a lot of them. I'm not negating what you're saying because I think that's all valid too.
That's why I said they are using it as a form of escape because they hate their current circumstances. So it's like, oh, I don't want to work for nobody. I want to listen to nobody. Let me go start something of my own. But that's really when you have to listen to the most people.
Yeah.
When you start something of your own, because ultimately you're building a customer base, so you have to listen to all of those customers. You have to listen to, if you build a team out, you have to listen to them. Like, just because you start something doesn't mean that life is about to be amazing. Like, life is actually probably about to be really hard because the CEO, the founder, they eat last. Because if I build a team, I want to make sure that they are happy. I want to make sure that they are paid. So whatever is coming in, I want to give that to them. And if at the end of that there's nothing left, and my whole goal was money, then I'm screwed up. Because, whatever. But I think when you are looking at entrepreneurship, really look at it through the lens of, do I actually have a problem? Do I actually have the solution to a problem that exists in the world? If you don't start a business. Don't if you like baking cakes, put your cakes on the internet and get off. Don't go on there talking about, oh yeah, I make cakes and get 30 orders, and then next thing you know, you're getting all this negative press on the Facebook and the iOS press releases.
Because they will turn on
you. Because, they will turn on you just as soon as you screw up anything or make a mistake. Like, just separate passion and interest from entrepreneurship and being a business person. I would legitimately say, and this gonna sound, or it may sound weird, I don't know, I've been sewing and designing since 2011, but I literally just got the desire to be a business person this year. Like, throughout this entire time. And he can attest to that, even in us working together. A lot of the more business-related stuff, I was a little bit more resistant to, or like, I wasn't jumping on that. But now, I actually want a functioning business. Like, something that works. I want to learn about business and how it really goes.
Okay.
I think a lot of people just jump out. And I ain't saying you can't just jump out, but we jump out without knowing a lot.
Yeah. So was it that you didn't know, like you felt that you didn't know enough about the business side of it to want to be a business before?
No. What it was I really liked fashion design. And like I said earlier, when you become a business, you have to listen to other people. And that's not initially why I started doing this. Like, I didn't start to have you tell me how you want this to look, or have this person come on and say, do you make that in my size, all at once? Like, I didn't start it for all of that. So but that's what you have to listen to, or that's what you have to deal with when you are running a business. So I felt like trying to start a business was taking the creativity from me.
And it does. It will suck the life out of you. There ain't no time to be creative when you're trying to run a business.
Yeah.
And I'm still battling those two things now. Like, when do you turn this part off and just say, oh, let me have fun with this again? Like, ain't no fun. The fun is gone. The fun is gone when all the bills come.
So if the fun is gone, then what is it that keeps you going in it?
Well, the fun's not gone. It's like this much of it.
The fun has a tendency to get muted. I don't think it's ever gone for me, but at times it can become muted because I have to focus on trying to write a mission statement, write a business plan, all of that stuff that has nothing to do with what, well, I ain't gonna say it has nothing to do with what y'all see, but immediately it has nothing to do with what y'all see. But what I'm enjoying now in building a business plan and writing out values for a company and a mission statement and all of that is that that's a story that I'm writing out that I want to be told through my clothes, through my branding. Like, I want people to feel what I've written out when they look at my clothes or when they see how people, perceive the clothes or whatever. I don't know if I answered the question or not.
Well, I ain't gonna say the fun is gone, but the fun, I guess, has been more on the print for me than the sewing it up. Well, so with entrepreneurship being as hard as it is, how do you stay motivated? Or what happens when you aren't motivated? Because I've been going through that.
I honestly have to pray about it and because motivation is such a fleeting thing sometimes. Like, for me personally, I'll say it ebbs and it flows. It goes up and it goes down. Like, staying motivated when you don't see anything directly happening is very difficult. And if I had the perfect answer as to how you stay motivated, I would give it. But all I can say is that there's something in me that won't let me let it go. And even when I've tried to let it go, I feel like the universe has brought it back to me. So, it's to the point where I go to stores and, I'm looking inside of these people's clothes to see how it's made. When I find myself paying attention to stuff that the average person wouldn't, I'm like, it's just something about clothing and fashion and all of that just, it won't leave me alone. So I guess that's the motive. It has to be something that comes from inside of you, even if you can't necessarily explain it.
And so tell the people, I sound like Quad now, what type of discipline do you have to work full time and come home and do this? And then you live in a city like Atlanta. I know there's always the pressure to go do things, network. Like, how do you discipline yourself to even get anything done?
Well, luckily for me, I'm a fairly disciplined person just by nature and by upbringing. Like, my mom has always just pretty much run a tight ship. Like, it was boom, boom, boom. You get stuff done. And she's still like that to this day. So that just rubbed off on me. So being a naturally somewhat disciplined person, or at least, I ain't gonna say, because I'm not the most disciplined in the world at all, but I think you have to be able to balance those times where you stay on track, set goals, achieve the goals, but then you also have to build in a little bit of buffer for the time where you just ain't gonna feel like doing nothing, and learn to forgive yourself for those moments, because it was maybe a month or so ago, I was really going through it, because I would come home after working all day at a full-time job, and I would guilt myself for feeling tired and not wanting to immediately jump back into working on something else. And I talked to my therapist, and she was just like, that's not realistic. Like, you can't expect for you to, first of all, fight through Atlanta traffic to get to and from work. That's a job in itself. And then, work all day and then want to come home and do the same thing every single night. I was expecting myself to come home every single night and do that. And she was like, you just have to learn how to put yourself on a schedule when you know you're going to be disciplined. So she had me to choose 2 days per week where I was going to come home and I was going to work for a certain amount of time. Not even like go home and work and burn the midnight oil, stay up all night, and then be miserable the next day. No, dedicate 2 days a week, 2 hours, or however long, and stick to that. Like,
And I'm sure that'll make you want to do more and more gradually. But the pattern needs to be established first and foremost. And I think that's why I struggle. Because some days I'm working really hard, and then, or some weeks, you got this big thing coming up, and then when that fall off, I couldn't even recover from Fashion Week. And that was, well, I'm finally recovered from it. And that was like 3 weeks ago. But it took me forever, and I was even mad at myself. Why haven't you gotten back in the swing of life yet? And it's just like, I didn't even know where to begin. My house was a fool. Everything was just a fool, chaotic. I felt like I had so many priorities in other places that were being dropped because I was working on this. And this is now finally over, and I don't even know where to begin. Woo! So, but yeah. So, how do you like Atlanta so far?
I like just being somewhere different than home. I really haven't explored Atlanta for real. I haven't gotten to know many people yet. So I got some work to do, I guess you could say, to really say if I like or dislike or whatever Atlanta. But
Well, I guess one good way of getting to know people has been being a part of some type of something with girls involved. So Aid Atlanta has been that for me. And it's good because you can kind of go to different things and pee people out and be like, oh no, I don't want to be associated with these girls. These ones are all right. You know? So, but yeah, I said it to say, not to bash anybody, but there are different things here, like the Impulse Group and all these people who plan really nice things. And so if you could become a part of something like that you feel led or encouraged to do, that's a good way, because it has helped me a lot. Now that I'm almost 9 months in. And no, today is my 9th month in Atlanta. Well, working at 8 Atlanta. Yesterday would have been the day I moved. We would have been here 9 months, y'all. I could have had a baby. So anyway, yeah. Well, I learned a lot, and I already knew you, so this was good. Nobody said they was bored today. They actually engaged, asked questions.
Maybe they kept it to themselves.
They tuned in. So it was a good episode. And I look forward to doing this again next Monday.
Yes, me too. Let people know where they can find your stuff, your information.
So you can make new friends.
Yes. Instagram is Love Osker, LOVEOSKER, and Facebook, same thing, Love and Osker. My name is Derek DeAndre, and that's it for me.
And thank you for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it. I enjoyed this.
Thank you. And so thank you again for coming on. Thank y'all for tuning in and joining us. And also we have to remember to plug. So next week on the 16th, next Wednesday, if you know anyone that's newly diagnosed with HIV positive, or is that you yourself, you want to send us a message, we have this great new group at 8 Atlanta called Brothers Redefining Themselves. We meet every first and third Wednesday from 5:30 to 7. And yeah, so if that's anybody
it's
you
the
know,
20th.
20th. November 20th is the next meeting. So if you know anybody, please let them know. This is a small group. We want to grow it organically. It's led by myself and Tyrone. And we've been getting people to come and engage with us. It's been great so far. And that, along with Out With The Guys, we'll be talking about that one too. So we got to involve y'all in our programming, because we're trying to, we are building community here in Atlanta from people from all different walks of life. But the one thing that connects us is that we're Black gay men. So, well, that's 2 things. But 3, actually. But yeah, so y'all engage with us, and thank you for watching, and thank you for Derek for coming. And it has been another edition of Man Chat Monday. So see you next Monday for another Entrepreneurship Series Round 3 next week.
Good night.